Hello, my name's Debbie Rodden and it's my pleasure to present this case study in our Small Business Big Impact program today. I'd like to introduce Rex Morrison of Port Stephens Council. Rex will be discussing ways in which you can work with Port Stephens Council, doing business with Council, getting into the supply chain. As this is a pre-recorded session, Rex will be available to answer your questions by using the chat function through the duration of the presentation, so there's no need to wait to the end of the session. This recording will also be made available on the platform for another 3 months should you wish to share it with your clients and colleagues who weren't available to join us today. The session is proudly sponsored by Port Stephens Council. I hope you enjoy it.
Hello, I'm Rex Morrison. I'm representing Port Stephens Council. I look after the procurement and contracts for Council, and specifically I run the tender processes for Council officers. So today I just want to go through a bit of a presentation of doing business with Council, and particularly focused on local businesses. So I've got a bit of a PowerPoint slide here and just want to go through a few of those relevant ones for you. So Port Stephens Council, we're a key employer for the Port Stephens area, and we manage and support council-owned property and infrastructure. In doing so, there's many contracts that we actually put in place in actually creating and developing infrastructure, as well as maintenance of those, and maintenance contracts and services contracts are used in maintaining those. Port Stephens Council, we have over 73,000 residents and ratepayers, and we have many industries that we support with regards to roads, built infrastructure, holiday parks, waterways and reserves. So we have quite a diverse needs and contracts that we actually support our ratepayers. So some of our typical suppliers are construction type companies, where we ask them to build structures such as buildings, amenities blocks, shelters, playgrounds, etc., and as well as bitumen quarries and asphalt suppliers, and quarries in building and maintaining our roads. So they're some of the quite large contracts that we have in place, and we will engage large organisations. For our local suppliers, we have a range of local suppliers that we use, and that can be the local corner store, as well as the takeaway stores, etc., electricians and plumbers, and any ad hoc services that we actually require. For specific services, we may also engage professional consultants and maintenance support services in regards to maintaining all of our infrastructure. So we also have support services as well. That's the likes of water, telecommunications, etc., and programs and leadership development programs, training organisations, etc. So the definition of local suppliers is having a business registered within the council's local government area. And we value local suppliers and their and the input that we require from them. So we need their quality and their support. We obviously need their materials and their services to support our council workers. So what's the actual purpose of procurement for Port Stephens Council? Our role here is in procurement is to lead and guide council staff around the legislative requirements for council tendering processes for EOIs, RFQs and tenders. So EOIs are expressions of interest, RFQs are requests for quotations. So we provide the support to council officers for purchasing options and council procurement systems. So we guide them through there, coach them, train them, make sure that they're using them appropriately and they abide by council's procurement systems. We also manage the contract management lifecycle of contracts, and also once we have contracts in place, we have a system to manage those. We undertake supplier and tender evaluation reviews, and we act as a probity officer, so to speak, and help them through the actual evaluation process in ensuring that they have a value for money. It's an industry term of making sure of cost and quality, and to ensure that the price and the non-price criteria are met accordingly. Develop and maintain purchasing guidelines and processes. So internally, we provide the support in making sure that the purchasing guidelines are met in accordance to our strategic objectives and in line with the Local Government Act. So we have a number of guiding documents, such as the Code of Conduct and the Statement of Business Ethics, which we're bound by. And this leads on to our probity guidelines and making sure that all council employees follow these and are guided by these and reminded that they need to award contracts fairly and within the right process that we've set out as governed by council. So how to do business with council. And doing business with council, it's we're guided by our procurement policy, legislation, which is like the Local Government Act. So I'll just quickly switch screens there to the Local Government Act. And this is our legislation that we're governed by. So we're bound by that, and specifically the tendering conditions, where any value greater than $250,000 inclusive of GST, or any contract or tender that is greater than 2 years in duration, that's considered a tender for council. So we're given bound by these guidelines as per the Local Government Act. That's our rules and our benchmarks. And we're also governed by our Local Government General Regulation of 2005. So there's specific actual guidelines that council is bound to work under. I'll just go back to the slide now. We have specific systems, council systems, that we actually use when we're going out to tender. They may not be as relevant for local businesses, but I will go through them because this will give you local businesses an insight of how to deal with council on those tender opportunities. So one of them is Eprocure, and that's our online e-tendering portal, and it looks like this. So it's free to register. It's an online portal. This is the actual web address, but you can actually go through it once you actually go through to our main web page. Under work and under council tenders, there's a link there called Eprocure, and that's our online electronic portal. And that will take you to this particular page, our home page, and that will show you how to register for starters, also the public opportunities, and what is, you can set up your own profile and details, and see exactly who's been awarded opportunities and what is actually pending evaluation as well. So like with many things, it's all online. It's very much intuitive, but it provides that level of probity and governance that council requires. And so once again here, if there's any help that you require, you can either send it through to Eprocure, or you can actually send us a question here and we will get those particular inquiries. That's our online e-tendering portal. And we also have that is specialised and set up for our panel suppliers, what we call a vendor panel. And this is for our internal staff to actually release requests for quotations out to market. And I won't go through this in this demonstration, but if there's any queries whatsoever, you can reach us at procurement@portstephens.nsw.gov.au and we can assist you further. So these are our preferred supplier lists or panels contracts. These are smaller type of engagements. So if you have any queries, once again, please contact us. Other systems that we actually use, it's an important one for us, is one to manage our contractors. Contractors are a contractor which is acting on council's behalf and working under as a PCBU, which is a person conducting our business or undertaking for council on council's property. So it is important for people or companies to actually register in SitePass. And this is the front end of what this actually looks like. This is the actual portal and the actual email address. You can also find that through once you go back here to our live site. Go to work, contractor management, and there we are at contractors, and it shows you the actual requirements, what's actually required to be registered in that system. So this looks like this. I've got a little bit more access than many other people, but it will show you a particular company and then what they're accredited for. Ensure that all your system details are correct. You get nice little green flags and also reminders as well of what you're actually need to provide more information or updated information for. So that's about the actual council systems. So I'll just go through a little bit about the actual project-specific documents. When we go out to market for particular scopes of supply, generally it's through a technical specification or a scope of works requirement. So and that will be detailed with plans, scope of work, supply, a detail of schedule rates or works, or detailed documents where we're asking people to build on our behalf. The other part of it is the compliance and the insurances compliance requirements. That may involve insurances such as workers' compensation, public liability, which is generally $20 million, motor vehicle, which is $10 million, and public liability if it's required, where consulting is recommended for consultancy type of arrangements. There's also some WHS requirements as well, so whether it be ISO accreditation or a SWIMS or a JSA, this is mirrored into, I'll use that example back again to the SitePass area where you actually upload your WHS plans and any other documents that you may require, like safe work method statements where you actually have specific work methods that you have detailed, and I'll give you an example of that. We've actually got a live example here, or a template document. Council actually uses a template document called a safe work method statement. It outlines the tasks and the risks, and how to manage and monitor the risks for each particular work activity. So if you need further guidance, please see Council. And this is an example of what a working example is. For instance, for some of our workers, for cleaning of the administration building and library. So it identifies what's actually required, what sort of trainings required as well, who is it for, applicable for, and the PPE or tools and the equipment that's actually required to conduct the work. So, and then it's rated then on a risk assessment, and then rated accordingly. So this is set up with Council in mind, in ensuring that we've got the right documents and the right instructions to do our job. So just going back to the presentation about the about doing business with Council, there's supply specific requirements where materials are generally noted as noted on a specification basis, or where there is a detailed service such as a maintenance or a cleaning contract for Council, then we will identify a schedule of rates, the exact job that's required for cleaners to do, and then they may be required to actually develop their own SWIMs or JSAs. So how to do business with Council for local and small businesses is to first and foremost register into Eprocure, as we've identified before. Register in the right portals, contact Procurement if you're unsure, but also too, the main thing is to keep your certifications up to date and relevant. Ensure that you've got the right contact details, ensure that you've actually got the right certifications in place, as well as your insurances. So we've actually just gone through that part of how to do business. And then why do we actually need to do this? So it seems like a lot of work and a bit of red tape, but it's to ensure that we have quality suppliers for Council. And also you can use this information in developing your relationships with other customers and large organisations. So specifically for small businesses, it is a worthwhile exercise to keep them all up to date. And risk to Council. We've got reputation risk, but it reduces our risk to Council. Improving your quality means that there's a lower risk to Council, whether it be by actually having SWIMs in place or JSAs in place, and having the right insurances and protection required for Council. We are governed by many rules and regulations, but these are the reasons why we actually have to have these processes and these justification certifications in place. So, in summary, our procurement objectives is to have support and guidance to local businesses with Council's local government act as aligned with Council's strategic business plan. So our aim is to guide our Council staff to procure where we can. We want to make sure that we have a sustainable model and to foster our economic development within our own LGA. So we need to, our mandate is to maximise spend where possible with local businesses. So in saying so, spending money within our LGA and with our suppliers actually generates more wealth for us within our LGA. So if you have any further queries or information, you can contact us at the telephone number there, or email us at procurement@portstephens.nsw.gov.au. So that concludes our presentation, and I hope local businesses have found this informative, and we will look forward in speaking to you hopefully in the near future. Thanks.
Thanks very much, Rex. That was fantastic. We really appreciate the time that you've given to contribute to the growth of small business in Port Stephens today. If you had any additional questions for Rex, just pop over to the meeting hub and catch up with him at a time that suits. We'll see you at the next session. Thank you.